So one thing is that I read Ricky DeFino's book, Monster in Seventh, and it is a must-read book, especially if you like, disturbing kind of horror, things. Then I would really recommend you read his book. It's called The Monster in Seventh, and it's on Amazon. And he writes this gorgeous poetry that I think if anybody's ever been abused or ever been in some sort of situation like that, or even if you haven't and you want to learn more about people who have been abused or have had their lives kind of derailed as children, I highly recommend you reading his book. It's just the way he describes things are beautifully done. And also, yes, they're like disturbing, but I think for people who have been through that, it's validating. So I think it's just amazing how he wrote it, and what courage you have to be able to write it down. And he's also, he explains throughout his stories that he was a recovering addict. He's sober now, and the amazing, love from his wife, but also like how difficult it was, and how as a child we kind of have a different story as children, and what we write in our heads is different from the reality, and how his monster, lived with him. And yeah, I think many people can identify with that, and I think many people can feel validated, but also feel like a survivor themselves. I think it's a very empowering, book, because I think poetry, even if some parts are disturbing, for people who've had disturbing lives, to us, it's not disturbing. It makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, like this makes sense. And this is like somebody else felt this too. I'm not the only one in the world. And that feels nice. It feels nice to feel that. And so I think Ricky Delfino did a really, really great job with his book, with his book of poetry, Monster on Seventh. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about his book. So definitely check it out. It's on Amazon. And I honestly think for people who are survivors like I am, I think you just feel validated. You feel not just validated, but you feel alive. You feel like you're a person, because many times we walk through life and we have all these very disturbing stories that we don't tell anybody, and we keep them all inside to ourselves because you don't want to make other people feel bad or whatever. But when you read it through like poetry, like Ricky DeFino's work, it really feels like, wow, I'm alive, I'm a person, and it's okay. It's okay that these bad things happen to me, and it happened to somebody else, and this person understands. And the way he writes, it's just beautifully done. It's just beautifully done, and it really resonated with me. And I think it can resonate with a lot of people, especially people who are survivors or who've been through abuse. I think when you read his work, it's like a door opens, and it's almost like you exhale. You're just like, like, thank you, somebody wrote this, like, thank you for writing this. And for people who haven't experienced that, I think it's important to read, because you get to learn about what other people, especially survivors or people who have been abused, like what we carry around every single day, because we don't want to hurt other people when we talk. We know we're empathetic people. We don't want to hurt or talk about it when you have a flashback or whatever. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, this serious thing just happened right now in my head as we're drinking coffee. It's not exactly what people want to hear. Well, because it's just like, for us, it's normal. That's our normal. That is our normal. We had these disturbing things happen, and when we hear other disturbing things, or when we read other people's stories of similar things that have happened, it's like, wow, this person understands. And to have somebody understand in a world where you've never been understood, it means the world. So thank you, Ricky, for writing that. It was extremely courageous, and I have to say your book is like the top of my list. Vegan writer, not vegan writer, like I think it's like the top of my list, for sure.